The rain had just stopped when Olivia Barnes stood outside the grand, glass-paneled restaurant, staring at her reflection in the golden-lit window. Her shift at Marty's diner had ended an hour ago, but she couldn't bring herself to go home to her tiny apartment yet. Her shoes were soaked, her hair frizzy, and her uniform still smelled faintly of coffee and pancakes. Inside, elegant laughter floated through the air. Women in silk dresses and men in pressed suits dined under chandeliers that looked like they were spun from stars. Olivia sighed. A different world, she thought. A world that didn't belong to a girl who worked 2 jobs to keep her mother's medical bills paid. She took a tentative step toward the door, just to look. "Good evening, ma'am. Reservation name?" the maitre d' asked smoothly, holding the door open before she could protest. "Oh, I think there's been a mistake. I was just, Mr. Hale's guest. Right this way, please," he said with a courteous smile, mistaking her hesitation for shyness. Before Olivia could explain, she was swept inside, her sneakers squeaking slightly against the polished marble floor. At a corner table sat Ethan Hale, the Ethan Hale. She recognized him immediately from business magazines and the local news. A widowed single dad and the CEO of Hale Enterprises, he was known for being brilliant, ruthless, and heartbreakingly handsome. But in person, he looked tired. His tie was loosened, his expression distant, and his eyes softened the moment they met hers. "Olivia?" he asked, standing politely. She froze. "Oh no, he thinks I'm his date." Her heart raced, her brain screamed to explain, but his gaze was kind, expectant. Something about the loneliness in his eyes tugged at her. For once, she didn't want to be invisible. "Yes," she said softly, surprising even herself. "Olivia." He smiled faintly, gesturing for her to sit. "You look different than I expected." She laughed nervously. "I get that a lot." Dinner began awkwardly. Olivia didn't know what half the items on the menu were, and when she saw the prices, she nearly choked. "Everything all right?" Ethan asked, noticing her wide eyes. "Oh, yes, totally fine. I just, didn't expect numbers with that many zeros for soup." Ethan chuckled, genuinely amused. It was the first time he'd laughed in months. As the evening went on, their conversation turned unexpectedly easy. He asked about her hobbies, and she found herself talking about the old piano she played at her diner after closing. He told her about his daughter, Lily, a 7-year-old who loved collecting seashells but hated math. There was a natural warmth between them, a quiet understanding that felt almost dangerous. Olivia hadn't felt this alive in years. When she accidentally spilled a few drops of water while pouring from the glass, her face turned crimson. "Oh no, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean." Ethan reached for a napkin, smiling. "Don't worry, you should see me trying to cook breakfast. The smoke alarm and I are on a first-name basis." Her laugh filled the space between them, soft and genuine. As the night drew on, he found himself watching her more closely, the way her eyes lit up when she smiled, the honesty that slipped through her nervousness. She wasn't polished or practiced like the women he usually met. She was real. When the waiter brought the bill, Olivia instinctively reached for her purse. "I should help pay," she blurted out. Ethan blinked, startled. "You don't have to." "I know," she said quickly, embarrassed. "I just don't like people thinking I can't." He smiled then, something soft and unguarded flickering across his face. "Noted. Next time, coffee's on you." Her breath caught. Next time. They walked out together under the city's glimmering streetlights. The air was cool, and the rain had left everything shining. Olivia's heart beat too fast. She knew she should tell him the truth. That she wasn't his blind date, that she wasn't the woman he was supposed to meet, but she couldn't. Not yet. When they reached her bus stop, he turned to her, hands in his pockets. "Can I see you again?" Olivia hesitated. A dozen reasons to say no raced through her mind. He was rich, powerful, completely out of her league. But her heart whispered one simple word. Yes. The morning sun poured through the tall glass windows of Hale Enterprises, glinting off Ethan's watch as he sat in his office, distracted. His assistant was talking, but he barely heard a word. All he could think about was her, Olivia. Her laughter still echoed in his mind. Her honesty, her nervous charm. The way she'd looked so out of place in that fancy restaurant and yet somehow fit perfectly beside him. He hadn't felt that kind of peace in years. He wanted to see her again. He needed to. So when his daughter Lily asked if they could go out for breakfast before school, he agreed instantly. "Anywhere you want," he said, smiling down at her. "Anywhere," she grinned. "Then, the diner with the red booths. I like their pancakes." He chuckled. "You got it, kiddo." Dash dash dash. The little bell above the door jingled as Ethan and Lily stepped into Marty's diner. The scent of fresh coffee and maple syrup filled the air. It was simple, cozy, nothing like the expensive restaurants he was used to. Then, behind the counter, he saw her. Olivia. Her hair was tied up, her apron slightly crumpled, her sleeves rolled to her elbows as she filled a customer's coffee cup. When she turned and met his gaze, the mug nearly slipped from her hand. "Daddy," Lily whispered, tugging on his arm. "It's the pretty lady from last night." Ethan blinked, realization dawning. "You work here," he said softly. Olivia swallowed hard, her throat tight. "Yeah, I do." Lily looked between them with wide, curious eyes. "You know each other?" Ethan gave a slow nod, still staring at Olivia. "We met, by accident." Olivia's heart raced. The truth was finally out, and it stung more than she expected. She wiped her hands nervously on her apron. "I never meant to lie," she said quietly, walking over. "When the waiter brought me to your table, I tried to explain, but you thought I was your date. And she sighed, eyes glistening, "I didn't want to ruin it." Ethan stood silently for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Around them, the diner buzzed with soft chatter and clinking plates, but it all seemed to fade away. Finally, he spoke. "You should have told me." "I know," she whispered. "I'm sorry. It was the first night in a long time I felt like I mattered to someone." That hit him right in the chest. He looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who'd made him laugh when he hadn't wanted to, who'd looked at him like he was more than a CEO. And he realized she had told him the truth all along, just not in words. Ethan's lips curved into a small smile. "You did matter. You still do." Olivia's eyes widened in disbelief. "You're not angry. Only that you didn't tell me sooner," he said gently. "But, maybe it's my fault too. I've spent so long judging people by what they could bring to my world instead of what they bring to my heart." Lily, grinning, climbed up onto a stool. "Does this mean we can have breakfast together?" she asked, breaking the tension. Ethan chuckled softly. "If Olivia doesn't mind serving us." Olivia blinked away tears and smiled. "2 pancakes and 1 coffee, coming right up." Dash dash dash. As she worked, Lily chatted happily about her favorite cartoons and how her dad never let her eat too much syrup. Ethan watched Olivia move gracefully between tables, greeting every customer by name. She wasn't the woman he was supposed to meet that night, she was something better. When Olivia brought over their order, Lily looked up at her. "You should come play with us sometime, Miss Olivia. Daddy never smiles this much at home." Ethan's ears turned pink. "Lily." Olivia laughed softly. "I'd like that." Dash dash dash. When breakfast was done, Ethan stood by the counter, hesitant. "Olivia," he said, voice low. "Would you, maybe, let me take you out again? No mix-ups this time. Just me asking you." Her breath caught. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything," he said sincerely. "You make me feel normal again." She smiled, heart swelling. "Then yes." Lily squealed. "Does that mean Miss Olivia will come to the park with us?" Ethan laughed. "Let's start with dinner first, sweetheart." Dash dash dash. That evening, as Olivia locked up the diner, she looked out at the streetlights reflecting off the wet pavement, just like that first night. Only this time, she wasn't standing on the outside looking in. Because sometimes love doesn't begin in the perfect restaurant or with the perfect plan. Sometimes, it begins when the wrong person walks into your life. And turns out to be the right one all along. "I'd like that," she said quietly. As she watched his black car pull away, she knew her borrowed fairytale couldn't last. But for the first time in years, she felt seen. And even if it was built on a mistake, part of her wished this night would never end.